Picture this. It's 6 a.m. and Sarah, a 68-year-old grandmother from Ohio, checks her glucose meter just like she has every morning for the past 5 years. But today is different. Instead of seeing that familiar spike of 180 that's been haunting her mornings, the number reads 128. She blinks, checks again. Still 128. For the first time in years, her morning blood sugar is in a healthy range. What happened? The night before, Sarah did something so simple, so overlooked by most people, that when I first witnessed its effects in my practice, I had to double-check the lab results 3 times. As an endocrinologist who has spent over 2 decades helping patients manage their blood sugar, I can tell you that what Sarah discovered represents one of the most underutilized tools in glucose management. But before I reveal what this powerful nighttime ritual is, let me be absolutely clear about something. This isn't about miracle cures or replacing your medications. This is about understanding how your body's natural rhythms work and how one simple tea can work in harmony with your physiology to help stabilize your blood sugar overnight. Every word you're about to hear is grounded in scientific research, clinical observation, and the real experiences of thousands of patients over 50 who have struggled with the same glucose challenges you might be facing right now. If you're between 50 and 80 years old, and you've been dealing with those frustrating morning blood sugar spikes, those roller coaster readings throughout the day, or that anxious feeling when you check your glucose meter, then what I'm about to share could be the missing piece in your diabetes management puzzle. But I want you to understand exactly why this works, when to use it safely, and most importantly, when you should absolutely consult with your doctor before trying it. Let me start by addressing the elephant in the room. When we talk about flushing out blood sugar overnight, we're not talking about some magical process that drains glucose from your bloodstream while you sleep. That would be dangerous and impossible. What we're actually discussing is far more sophisticated and, frankly, more impressive than any quick fix could ever be. Your body has an intricate system for managing blood sugar that operates 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This system involves your liver, your muscles, your fat cells, your hormones, and yes, even your sleep patterns. When this system is working optimally, your blood sugar should naturally stabilize during the night, allowing you to wake up with healthy glucose levels. But for millions of people over 50, this natural process has become disrupted. The disruption happens gradually and often goes unnoticed until suddenly you're dealing with consistently high morning readings, unpredictable spikes after meals, and that constant worry about what your next glucose test will reveal. The frustrating part is that traditional approaches often focus only on medication or drastic dietary changes, ignoring the powerful role that natural compounds and proper sleep physiology can play in glucose regulation. This is where our powerful nighttime tea comes into the picture. But before I tell you what it is, I need you to understand the science behind why timing matters so much when it comes to blood sugar management, especially as we age. Between the hours of 2 a.m. and 8 a.m., your body goes through what's called the dawn phenomenon. This is when your liver starts releasing stored glucose to prepare your body for waking up. It's a normal, healthy process that's been keeping humans alive for thousands of years. But here's what happens as we get older, and especially if we're dealing with insulin resistance or type 2 diabetes. This dawn phenomenon can become exaggerated, leading to those high morning readings that so many of my patients complain about. Additionally, the quality of your sleep directly impacts your blood sugar control. Poor sleep increases cortisol levels, which in turn makes your cells more resistant to insulin. It's a vicious cycle that many people over 50 find themselves trapped in. High blood sugar affects sleep quality, and poor sleep makes blood sugar control more difficult. Now, here's where the magic happens, and I use the word magic very deliberately, because what I'm about to share with you seems almost too simple to be true, yet the scientific evidence supporting it is absolutely compelling. The powerful tea I'm talking about is chamomile tea. Yes, the same gentle, floral tea that your grandmother might have given you when you couldn't sleep as a child. But what your grandmother probably didn't know, and what most doctors don't fully appreciate, is that chamomile contains a compound called apigenin that has remarkable effects on glucose metabolism. Apigenin is a flavonoid that binds to specific receptors in your brain, the same receptors that some anti-anxiety medications target, but in a much gentler, more natural way. When you consume chamomile tea about 60 to 90 minutes after your last meal of the day, several things begin to happen in your body that create the perfect storm for overnight blood sugar stabilization. First, the apigenin helps activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your body's rest and digest mode. This activation signals to your body that it's time to slow down, reduce stress hormone production, and focus on repair and maintenance activities rather than staying in that heightened state of alertness that keeps blood sugar elevated. Second, chamomile has been shown in multiple studies to have a direct effect on glucose metabolism. Research published in the Journal of Endocrinological Investigation found that regular chamomile consumption improved insulin sensitivity and reduced inflammation markers associated with diabetes. Another study in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry demonstrated that chamomile extract could inhibit enzymes involved in glucose absorption, leading to more stable post-meal blood sugar levels. But here's what makes chamomile particularly powerful for overnight glucose management: its effect on sleep quality. Deep, restorative sleep is absolutely crucial for healthy blood sugar control. During deep sleep, your body produces growth hormone, which helps maintain proper glucose metabolism. Sleep also allows your cells to become more sensitive to insulin, essentially hitting the reset button on your glucose management system. When you drink chamomile tea as part of a proper nighttime routine, you're not just getting the direct glucose-lowering effects of the apigenin. You're also improving your sleep quality, which amplifies all of these benefits throughout the night. It's like giving your body's natural blood sugar control system the optimal environment to do its job properly. Now, let me tell you about one of my patients, James, a 72-year-old retired engineer who came to me completely frustrated with his blood sugar management. Despite being on metformin and following what he thought was a healthy diet, his morning glucose readings were consistently in the 160 to 180 range. He was having trouble sleeping, waking up multiple times during the night, and feeling exhausted during the day. James was the kind of patient who wanted to understand everything about his condition. He asked detailed questions, kept meticulous records, and was genuinely committed to improving his health. So when I suggested he try adding chamomile tea to his nighttime routine, he was skeptical but willing to give it a try. I gave James very specific instructions, which I'm going to share with you in detail. First, he was to have his last meal of the day by 6 p.m., and it should be relatively light and low in simple carbohydrates. Then, about 90 minutes after eating, he was to prepare a cup of pure chamomile tea using 1 tea bag or 1 teaspoon of dried chamomile flowers steeped in hot water for 5 to 7 minutes. The key was in the ritual. James was to drink this tea slowly, in a dimly lit room, while practicing deep breathing exercises. No television, no phone, no stimulating activities. Just quiet contemplation and allowing his body to transition into rest mode. After finishing the tea, he was to go through his normal bedtime routine and aim to be in bed within 30 to 60 minutes. 3 weeks later, James returned to my office with a smile I hadn't seen since our first meeting. His continuous glucose monitor data showed a remarkable transformation. His overnight glucose variability had decreased by more than 40%, and his morning readings were averaging 135, down from his previous 170 average. But more importantly, he was sleeping through the night for the first time in years and waking up feeling refreshed and energetic. Now, I want to be very clear about what happened with James. The chamomile tea wasn't a magic bullet that single-handedly fixed his blood sugar problems. It was one component of a comprehensive approach that included proper meal timing, stress management, and improved sleep hygiene. But it was a crucial component that seemed to tie everything else together. The science behind why this works is fascinating and worth understanding. When you consume chamomile tea in the evening, the apigenin begins to work within 30 to 45 minutes. It crosses the blood-brain barrier and binds to benzodiazepine receptors, but unlike pharmaceutical medications, it does so very gently and without the risk of dependency or morning grogginess. This binding action triggers a cascade of physiological responses. Your hypothalamus, which is like the control center for your body's hormonal systems, receives signals to reduce cortisol production and increase melatonin release. Lower cortisol means less glucose being dumped into your bloodstream during the night, and higher melatonin not only improves sleep quality but has also been shown to have direct effects on pancreatic function and insulin sensitivity. But there's another layer to this that most people don't understand. Chamomile contains other compounds beyond apigenin that contribute to its glucose-lowering effects. It has anti-inflammatory properties that help reduce the chronic low-grade inflammation that contributes to insulin resistance. It also contains compounds that may help improve the function of your gut microbiome, which plays a crucial role in glucose metabolism. Recent research has shown that people with better glucose control tend to have more diverse and healthy gut bacteria populations. Chamomile acts as a prebiotic, feeding the beneficial bacteria in your digestive system and potentially improving your body's overall ability to process glucose effectively. Now, let's talk about the practical aspects of using chamomile tea for overnight blood sugar support, because the details matter enormously. The timing I mentioned earlier is crucial. You want to consume the tea about 60 to 90 minutes after your last meal, but at least 30 to 60 minutes before you plan to go to sleep. This timing allows the active compounds to begin working while also preventing you from waking up in the middle of the night needing to use the bathroom. The preparation method also makes a difference. You want to use either high-quality chamomile tea bags or loose dried chamomile flowers. Avoid chamomile teas that are blended with other ingredients, especially those that contain caffeine or added sugars. The water temperature should be just below boiling, around 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and you should steep the tea for 5 to 7 minutes to extract the maximum amount of active compounds. Never add sugar, honey, or artificial sweeteners to your chamomile tea if your goal is blood sugar management. These additions will counteract the benefits you're trying to achieve. If you find plain chamomile tea too bitter or floral for your taste, you can add a thin slice of lemon or a small piece of cinnamon bark during steeping, both of which may actually enhance the glucose-lowering effects. The environment in which you drink the tea is just as important as the tea itself. Create a calm, peaceful setting with dim lighting. This isn't just about relaxation, it's about supporting your body's natural circadian rhythms. Bright lights in the evening can suppress melatonin production and interfere with the very processes you're trying to optimize. As you drink the tea, practice deep, slow breathing. Breathe in for 4 counts, hold for 4 counts, and exhale for 6 counts. This type of breathing activates your parasympathetic nervous system and enhances the effects of the chamomile. Think of it as meditation in a cup, a daily ritual that signals to every cell in your body that it's time to shift into healing and restoration mode. Now, let's address some important safety considerations, because while chamomile is generally very safe for most people, there are some situations where caution is warranted. If you're taking blood-thinning medications like warfarin or other anticoagulants, you need to consult with your doctor before adding chamomile tea to your routine. Chamomile can potentially enhance the effects of these medications, which could increase your risk of bleeding. Similarly, if you have a known allergy to plants in the Asteraceae family, which includes ragweed, chrysanthemums, and daisies, you might also be allergic to chamomile. Start with a very small amount and monitor for any allergic reactions like skin rashes, difficulty breathing, or digestive upset. For people over 65, or those taking multiple medications, it's always wise to discuss any new additions to your health routine with your healthcare provider. This isn't because chamomile is dangerous, but because drug interactions, even with natural compounds, can sometimes occur, and it's better to be safe than sorry. One thing I want to emphasize strongly is the importance of monitoring your blood sugar response when you start incorporating chamomile tea into your routine. Every person's body responds differently to interventions, even natural ones. Keep a detailed log of your glucose readings, noting the times you drink the tea, what you ate for dinner, what time you went to bed, and how well you slept. This data will help you and your healthcare provider understand whether the chamomile is having the desired effect and whether any adjustments to your diabetes medications might be necessary. In some cases, patients find that their blood sugar control improves so significantly that their doctor needs to adjust their medication dosages to prevent hypoglycemia. Speaking of hypoglycemia, this is something that anyone using glucose-lowering medications needs to be aware of. While chamomile tea alone is unlikely to cause dangerously low blood sugar, when combined with diabetes medications, it's possible that your glucose could drop too low, especially during the night when you might not notice the symptoms. Signs of nighttime hypoglycemia include restless sleep, nightmares, waking up with sweats, morning headaches, and feeling confused or irritable upon waking. If you experience any of these symptoms after starting chamomile tea, check your blood sugar immediately and contact your healthcare provider. Now, let me address some common questions and misconceptions I hear from patients about using chamomile tea for blood sugar management. The first question is usually, how quickly will I see results? The answer varies from person to person, but most of my patients who respond well to chamomile tea notice some improvement in sleep quality within the first few nights, and improvements in morning glucose readings within 1 to 2 weeks of consistent use. The key word there is consistent. This isn't something you can do occasionally and expect dramatic results. Like most natural interventions, the benefits of chamomile tea build over time with regular use. Think of it as a gentle, sustained support for your body's natural glucose management systems rather than a quick fix. Another common question is, can I drink chamomile tea during the day as well? The answer is yes, but the effects will be different. Chamomile consumed during the day can help reduce overall stress levels and inflammation, both of which are beneficial for glucose control. However, the specific overnight blood sugar stabilization effects are best achieved with evening consumption as part of a proper bedtime routine. Some patients ask whether they can use chamomile supplements instead of tea. While chamomile supplements do contain the active compounds we're interested in, I generally recommend the tea for several reasons. First, the ritual of preparing and slowly drinking the tea is an important part of the stress reduction and sleep preparation benefits. Second, the tea provides hydration, which is important for overall health and can help prevent the dehydration that sometimes contributes to elevated morning glucose levels. Third, when you drink chamomile as a tea, you're getting a complex mixture of compounds that work synergistically together. Supplements often contain isolated compounds or extracts that may not provide the same comprehensive benefits as the whole plant preparation. Let me share another patient story to illustrate how individual responses can vary. Margaret, a 64-year-old teacher, came to me with blood sugar issues that seemed to be getting worse despite her best efforts with diet and exercise. Her main complaint was severe dawn phenomenon, with morning glucose readings often exceeding 200 despite reasonable control during the day. When I suggested chamomile tea, Margaret was eager to try it because she had always been interested in natural approaches to health. However, after 2 weeks of consistent use, she wasn't seeing the dramatic improvements that some of my other patients had experienced. Her morning readings had improved only slightly, from an average of 195 to about 185. Rather than giving up, we decided to investigate further. I had Margaret keep an even more detailed log, recording not just her glucose readings but also what she ate, how much water she drank, her stress levels throughout the day, and even the weather. What we discovered was fascinating. Margaret was drinking the chamomile tea correctly, but her dinner routine was working against her. She was eating her evening meal quite late, often not until 7 or 8 p.m., and it was frequently her largest meal of the day. Her body was still actively digesting food well into the night, which was interfering with the beneficial effects of the chamomile. We adjusted Margaret's routine so that she ate a lighter, earlier dinner by 6 p.m., took a gentle 10-minute walk afterward, and then had her chamomile tea about 90 minutes later. Within another 2 weeks, her morning glucose readings dropped to an average of 148, and she was sleeping better than she had in years. This story illustrates an important principle. Chamomile tea works best as part of a comprehensive evening routine that supports healthy blood sugar control. The tea isn't a magic potion that can overcome poor meal timing, excessive food portions, or high stress levels. It's a tool that works synergistically with other healthy habits to optimize your body's natural glucose management abilities. Let's talk about what an ideal evening routine might look like for someone wanting to maximize the blood sugar benefits of chamomile tea. This routine should start about 3 to 4 hours before bedtime, with a light, balanced dinner that emphasizes protein, healthy fats, and complex carbohydrates while minimizing simple sugars and refined grains. A good evening meal might consist of grilled fish or chicken, roasted vegetables, and a small portion of quinoa or brown rice. The key is to eat enough to feel satisfied without overeating, and to finish eating at least 3 hours before you plan to go to sleep. This gives your body time to digest the food and begin the transition into nighttime metabolic patterns. After dinner, if possible, take a gentle walk for 10 to 15 minutes. This doesn't need to be intense exercise. Just a leisurely stroll around the neighborhood or even around your house is sufficient. This light activity helps your muscles take up glucose from your bloodstream, reducing the amount that needs to be processed by your liver during the night. About 90 minutes after dinner, begin preparing your chamomile tea ritual. Start by dimming the lights in your home and turning off electronic devices, or at least switching them to night mode if you must use them. The blue light emitted by phones, tablets, and computers can interfere with melatonin production and disrupt the very processes you're trying to support. Prepare your chamomile tea mindfully, treating it as a meditative practice rather than just another beverage. As the water heats and the tea steeps, use this time to reflect on the day, practice gratitude, or simply focus on your breathing. When the tea is ready, find a comfortable, quiet place to sit and drink it slowly, savoring the warmth and gentle flavor. As you drink, continue practicing deep breathing exercises and allow your mind to begin winding down from the day's activities. Some people find it helpful to do gentle stretching or light yoga during this time, while others prefer to sit quietly and read something peaceful and non-stimulating. After finishing your tea, complete your normal bedtime routine, which should also be designed to support good sleep hygiene. This might include brushing your teeth, changing into comfortable sleepwear, and setting up your bedroom for optimal sleep with cool temperatures, darkness, and minimal noise. The goal is to be in bed within 30 to 60 minutes of finishing your chamomile tea, allowing the active compounds time to begin their work while you transition into sleep. Many people find that this routine becomes something they genuinely look forward to, a peaceful end to the day that not only supports their blood sugar management but also provides a sense of calm and well-being. Now, let's delve deeper into the scientific mechanisms behind why chamomile is so effective for overnight blood sugar control. Understanding these mechanisms will help you appreciate why this simple tea can have such profound effects and why the specific timing and preparation methods I've described are so important. The primary active compound in chamomile, Apigenin, belongs to a class of plant compounds called flavonoids. Flavonoids are powerful antioxidants that have been extensively studied for their health benefits, but apigenin has some unique properties that make it particularly useful for glucose management. When apigenin enters your bloodstream, it can cross the blood-brain barrier and interact with several different receptor systems. Its interaction with GABA receptors in the brain produces the calming effect that chamomile is famous for, but it also interacts with other systems that directly affect glucose metabolism. Research has shown that apigenin can activate an enzyme called AMPK, which stands for adenosine monophosphate activated protein kinase. AMPK is often called the body's metabolic master switch because it plays a crucial role in regulating energy production and storage. When AMPK is activated, it signals cells to take up glucose from the bloodstream and either use it for immediate energy or store it properly rather than allowing it to circulate at high levels. Apigenin also appears to have direct effects on pancreatic beta cells, the cells responsible for producing insulin. Studies have shown that it can help protect these cells from the oxidative stress and inflammation that contribute to their dysfunction in type 2 diabetes. By supporting the health and function of beta cells, chamomile may help maintain your body's natural ability to produce adequate insulin. Another important mechanism involves chamomile's effect on liver function. Your liver plays a crucial role in blood sugar regulation, particularly during the night when it releases stored glucose to maintain blood sugar levels during fasting. In people with insulin resistance, the liver often releases too much glucose, contributing to high morning blood sugar readings. Compounds in chamomile appear to help regulate this hepatic glucose output, essentially helping your liver release glucose more appropriately based on your body's actual needs rather than dumping excessive amounts into your bloodstream. The anti-inflammatory effects of chamomile also contribute significantly to its glucose-lowering properties. Chronic inflammation is now recognized as a major driver of insulin resistance and type 2 diabetes. When your tissues are in a state of chronic inflammation, they become less responsive to insulin, making it harder for cells to take up glucose from the bloodstream. Chamomile contains multiple compounds with anti-inflammatory properties, including apigenin, quercetin, and various terpenoids. These compounds work together to reduce inflammatory markers throughout the body, potentially improving insulin sensitivity and glucose uptake by cells. The sleep-improving effects of chamomile create another layer of benefit for blood sugar control. During deep sleep, your body produces growth hormone, which has important effects on glucose metabolism. Growth hormone helps maintain proper blood sugar levels and supports the repair and maintenance of insulin-producing cells in the pancreas. Poor sleep quality, on the other hand, leads to increased production of cortisol and other stress hormones that promote insulin resistance and glucose production by the liver. By improving sleep quality, chamomile helps optimize the hormonal environment for healthy blood sugar control throughout the night. Recent research has also identified connections between chamomile consumption and gut health that may contribute to its glucose-lowering effects. The gut microbiome, the community of bacteria living in your digestive system, plays an increasingly recognized role in glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. Studies have shown that people with better glucose control tend to have more diverse and healthier gut microbiome populations, while those with diabetes often have altered gut bacteria patterns. Chamomile appears to act as a prebiotic, promoting the growth of beneficial bacteria while suppressing potentially harmful microorganisms. This improvement in gut health can have far-reaching effects on glucose metabolism, including better insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, and improved production of hormones that regulate blood sugar levels. Now, let's address some important considerations about individual variation in response to chamomile tea. While the majority of my patients who try this intervention see some benefit, responses can vary significantly based on several factors. Genetic variations can affect how quickly and effectively your body metabolizes the active compounds in chamomile. Some people are naturally faster metabolizers and may need to drink the tea closer to bedtime to get optimal effects, while slower metabolizers might need to drink it earlier in the evening. Your current level of insulin resistance also affects how much benefit you're likely to see from chamomile tea. People with mild insulin resistance often see more dramatic improvements than those with severe diabetes, though even people with advanced diabetes can experience meaningful benefits when chamomile is used as part of a comprehensive management plan. Other medications can also influence your response to chamomile. While serious interactions are rare, some medications can either enhance or diminish the effects of chamomile's active compounds. This is another reason why it's important to discuss this intervention with your healthcare provider, especially if you're taking multiple medications. Your overall lifestyle factors play a huge role in how effective chamomile tea will be for your blood sugar management. If you're dealing with high levels of chronic stress, poor sleep hygiene, irregular meal timing, or lack of physical activity, you may need to address these factors alongside adding chamomile tea to see optimal results. Let me share one more patient story to illustrate how chamomile tea can be part of a broader transformation in blood sugar management. Robert, a 59-year-old accountant, came to me with newly diagnosed type 2 diabetes. His HbA1c was 8.2, which indicated poor glucose control over the previous 3 months, and he was experiencing classic diabetes symptoms including frequent urination, excessive thirst, and fatigue. Robert was overwhelmed by his diagnosis and all the changes he felt he needed to make. He was resistant to starting medication immediately and wanted to try lifestyle interventions first. While I explained that he would likely need medication given his high HbA1c, I agreed to work with him on a comprehensive natural approach that included chamomile tea as one component. Robert's plan included dietary changes to reduce refined carbohydrates and increase fiber intake, a gentle exercise program starting with 20-minute walks after meals, stress management techniques including meditation, and the chamomile tea routine I've described. He was meticulous about following the plan and tracking his progress. After 3 months, Robert's HbA1c had dropped to 6.8, still above normal but a significant improvement. His morning glucose readings, which had been averaging 220, were now averaging 155. He had lost 15 pounds without deliberately dieting, was sleeping better than he had in years, and reported feeling more energetic and optimistic about managing his diabetes. While Robert did eventually start taking metformin to achieve even better control, the improvements he saw from lifestyle interventions, including the chamomile tea routine, gave him confidence that he could successfully manage his diabetes and maintain a good quality of life. Robert's experience highlights an important point about chamomile tea and natural approaches to blood sugar management in general. They work best when implemented as part of a comprehensive lifestyle approach rather than as isolated interventions. The tea provides valuable support for your body's natural glucose management systems, but those systems work optimally when you're also paying attention to diet, exercise, stress management, and sleep hygiene. This brings me to an important discussion about expectations and realistic goals when using chamomile tea for blood sugar support. While some people do see dramatic improvements, it's more common to see gradual, steady improvements over time. This is actually a good thing because it suggests that you're supporting your body's natural healing and regulatory processes rather than forcing rapid changes that might not be sustainable. A realistic expectation for most people would be to see some improvement in sleep quality within the first week, modest improvements in morning glucose readings within 2 to 3 weeks, and more significant improvements in overall glucose control over a period of 2 to 3 months of consistent use. It's also important to understand that chamomile tea is not a cure for diabetes or insulin resistance. It's a supportive tool that can help optimize your body's natural glucose management abilities. If you have diabetes, you'll still need to work closely with your healthcare provider to monitor your condition and adjust medications as needed. Some people worry that if they start seeing improvements from natural interventions like chamomile tea, their doctor might think they're not taking their condition seriously or might be resistant to prescribing necessary medications. In my experience, most healthcare providers are pleased when patients take an active, informed role in managing their health and are interested in interventions that can support conventional treatments. The key is to be open and honest with your healthcare provider about everything you're doing to manage your blood sugar, including natural interventions like chamomile tea. Share your glucose logs and any improvements you're seeing, and work together to make any necessary adjustments to your overall treatment plan. Now, let's talk about some practical tips for incorporating chamomile tea into your routine and maximizing its benefits for blood sugar control. One of the most common challenges people face is remembering to drink the tea at the right time and in the right way. Like any new habit, it takes consistency and attention to detail, at least initially, before it becomes automatic. I recommend setting an alarm or reminder on your phone for about 90 minutes after your typical dinner time. This helps ensure that you don't forget to prepare and drink your tea, and it also helps reinforce the timing that's optimal for blood sugar benefits. When shopping for chamomile tea, quality matters. Look for organic chamomile tea from reputable brands and avoid products that contain added flavors, oils, or other herbs unless they're specifically beneficial for blood sugar control, like cinnamon. If possible, buy whole dried chamomile flowers rather than tea bags, as this typically provides a higher concentration of active compounds. When shopping for chamomile tea, quality matters. Look for organic chamomile tea from reputable brands and avoid products that contain added flavors, oils, or other herbs unless they're specifically beneficial for blood sugar control, like cinnamon. If possible, buy whole dried chamomile flowers rather than tea bags, as this typically provides a higher concentration of active compounds. Store your chamomile tea properly to maintain its potency. Keep it in an airtight container away from light and heat, and use it within a year of purchase for optimal benefits. If you're using loose flowers, you'll need a tea strainer or infuser to prepare the tea. The water quality you use can also affect both the taste and the health benefits of your chamomile tea. If your tap water is heavily chlorinated or has a strong taste, consider using filtered water. The ideal temperature for brewing chamomile tea is about 200 degrees Fahrenheit, which is just below boiling. If you don't have a thermometer, bring water to a boil and then let it cool for about 2 minutes before pouring it over your tea. Steeping time is important for extracting the maximum amount of beneficial compounds. 5 to 7 minutes is optimal for most chamomile teas. Steeping for longer than 10 minutes can make the tea bitter without significantly increasing the health benefits. Some people find that they need to adjust their fluid intake earlier in the day to accommodate the evening tea without disrupting their sleep with bathroom trips. If this is a concern for you, try reducing your fluid intake slightly with dinner and drinking your chamomile tea about 2 hours before bedtime rather than 1 hour. If you travel frequently, consider bringing chamomile tea bags with you so you can maintain your routine even when away from home. The consistency of the routine is important for maintaining the benefits, and disrupting it for travel can set back your progress. For people who don't enjoy the taste of plain chamomile tea, there are several ways to make it more palatable without compromising its blood sugar benefits. A thin slice of lemon can add a pleasant citrus note and may actually enhance the tea's glucose-lowering effects due to the vitamin C and flavonoids in lemon. A small piece of cinnamon bark added during steeping can provide a warm, spicy flavor while contributing its own blood sugar-lowering compounds. However, avoid cinnamon powder, which can make the tea gritty and may contain higher levels of coumarin, a compound that can be harmful in large quantities. Some people enjoy adding a few fresh mint leaves to their chamomile tea, which can provide a refreshing taste without affecting blood sugar. However, be cautious about adding other herbs or ingredients without researching their potential effects on glucose levels and interactions with any medications you might be taking. Never add sugar, honey, agave, or any other sweeteners to your chamomile tea if your goal is blood sugar management. These additions will directly counteract the benefits you're trying to achieve. If you absolutely must have some sweetness, a tiny amount of stevia might be acceptable, but plain tea is strongly preferred. Let's address some of the questions and concerns that people often have about long-term use of chamomile tea for blood sugar management. One common question is whether it's safe to drink chamomile tea every night for months or years. The answer is generally yes for most people. Chamomile has a long history of safe use, and unlike pharmaceutical sleep aids, it doesn't cause tolerance or dependency. However, as with any intervention, it's wise to periodically reassess whether it's still providing benefits and whether any adjustments need to be made to your routine. Some people find that after several months of use, they can reduce the frequency to every other night or a few times per week while maintaining the benefits. Others find that they need to occasionally take breaks from the tea to prevent their body from becoming too accustomed to it. There's no hard science on this, but some people report that taking a week off every few months and then resuming the routine seems to refresh its effectiveness. Another consideration for long-term use is the potential for interactions with new medications. If your doctor prescribes new medications, especially those that affect blood sugar, blood clotting, or the central nervous system, be sure to mention that you regularly drink chamomile tea so they can advise you about any potential interactions. Some people worry about becoming dependent on chamomile tea for sleep. While chamomile can certainly help improve sleep quality, it works by supporting your body's natural sleep processes rather than forcing sleep like pharmaceutical sleep aids do. Most people find that if they stop drinking chamomile tea, they don't experience withdrawal symptoms, though their sleep quality might not be quite as good as when they were using the tea regularly. If you're concerned about dependency, you can periodically test whether you still need the tea by skipping it for a few nights and seeing how your sleep and morning blood sugar levels are affected. Many people find that after several months of improved sleep hygiene and blood sugar control, they can maintain many of the benefits even without the nightly tea, though most choose to continue because they enjoy the routine and the extra support it provides. Now, let's talk about how to monitor and track your progress when using chamomile tea for blood sugar management. Proper monitoring is crucial not just for assessing whether the intervention is working, but also for ensuring your safety, especially if you're taking diabetes medications. The most important metric to track is your blood glucose levels, particularly your morning fasting glucose. Check your blood sugar first thing in the morning, before eating or drinking anything other than water, and record the results along with notes about your chamomile tea routine from the previous evening. Also track your glucose levels 2 hours after meals, especially dinner, to see if the tea is helping with post-meal glucose spikes. Many people find that the benefits of evening chamomile tea extend beyond just morning readings and help with overall glucose stability. If you have a continuous glucose monitor, CGM, this can provide even more detailed information about how chamomile tea is affecting your blood sugar patterns throughout the night. Look for reductions in overnight glucose variability and improvements in the time you spend in your target glucose range. Keep a sleep diary alongside your glucose logs. Note how long it takes you to fall asleep, whether you wake up during the night, how rested you feel in the morning, and any dreams or sleep disturbances. Improvements in sleep quality often precede improvements in glucose control, so this can help you track progress even before you see changes in your blood sugar readings. Also track your overall well-being, including energy levels, mood, appetite, and any diabetes symptoms you might be experiencing. Sometimes people notice improvements in how they feel before they see significant changes in their glucose numbers, and these subjective measures are important indicators of progress. If you're working with a healthcare provider to manage your diabetes, share your tracking data with them regularly. This information can help them make informed decisions about any adjustments to your medications that might be needed as your glucose control improves. It's also worth tracking any side effects or concerns you might experience with the chamomile tea. While side effects are rare and usually mild, documenting any changes in how you feel can help you and your healthcare provider determine whether the tea is right for you or if any adjustments to your routine are needed. Some people find it helpful to use smartphone apps or simple spreadsheets to track all this information in one place. The key is to find a system that you'll actually use consistently, as sporadic tracking makes it difficult to assess whether the intervention is truly helping. Let me address some common mistakes people make when trying to use chamomile tea for blood sugar management, because avoiding these pitfalls can make the difference between success and disappointment. The first mistake is inconsistency. Some people drink the tea for a few nights, don't see immediate dramatic results, and give up. Remember, this is about supporting your body's natural processes, and natural healing takes time. You need to give it at least 3 to 4 weeks of consistent use before making any judgments about effectiveness. Another common mistake is poor timing. Drinking the tea too close to bedtime can lead to nighttime bathroom trips that disrupt sleep. Drinking it too early in the evening means the effects may wear off before you go to sleep. The 60 to 90 minutes after dinner, 30 to 60 minutes before bedtiming is optimal for most people. Some people make the mistake of adding sweeteners to the tea, thinking that a small amount won't matter. But if your goal is blood sugar management, any added sugars or sweeteners can interfere with the benefits you're trying to achieve. Train your palate to enjoy the natural, gentle flavor of chamomile. Ignoring the importance of the overall evening routine is another mistake. The tea works best as part of a comprehensive approach that includes proper meal timing, stress reduction, and good sleep hygiene. Drinking chamomile tea while eating late dinners, watching stimulating television, or maintaining high stress levels will limit its effectiveness. Some people make the mistake of thinking that more is better and drink multiple cups of chamomile tea or brew it extra strong. This can actually backfire, causing stomach upset or making you too drowsy. One properly prepared cup is sufficient for most people. Another mistake is not consulting with healthcare providers when appropriate. If you're taking medications for diabetes or other conditions, or if you have complex health issues, trying to manage everything on your own without professional guidance can be dangerous. Finally, some people make the mistake of expecting chamomile tea to be a complete solution for their blood sugar problems. While it can be remarkably helpful, it's not a substitute for proper medical care, appropriate medications when needed, or other important lifestyle factors like diet and exercise. Now let's explore some variations and enhancements to the basic chamomile tea routine that might provide additional benefits for blood sugar management. While plain chamomile tea is effective on its own, there are some natural additions that may enhance its glucose-lowering effects without compromising safety. Cinnamon is perhaps the most well-researched addition. Ceylon cinnamon, in particular, has been shown in multiple studies to help improve insulin sensitivity and reduce post-meal glucose spikes. Adding a small piece of Ceylon cinnamon bark to your chamomile tea during steeping can provide a pleasant flavor while potentially enhancing the blood sugar benefits. However, be cautious about the type and amount of cinnamon you use. Cassia cinnamon, which is more common in grocery stores, contains higher levels of coumarin, which can be harmful to the liver in large quantities. Stick to Ceylon cinnamon when possible, and use just a small piece of bark rather than powder, which is harder to measure and can make the tea gritty. Lemon is another beneficial addition. The vitamin C and flavonoids in lemon may help improve glucose metabolism, and the citrus flavor can make the tea more enjoyable for some people. Use just a thin slice of fresh lemon, added during steeping or squeezed into the finished tea. Some people find that adding a few fresh mint leaves creates a more refreshing taste without affecting the blood sugar benefits. Mint may also have mild digestive benefits that complement the chamomile. A small amount of fresh ginger can add warmth and may contribute its own glucose-lowering effects, but be cautious if you're taking blood-thinning medications, as ginger can enhance their effects. Also, ginger can be stimulating for some people, so if you find that it interferes with your sleep, avoid this addition. For people who want to experiment with other herbs, lemon balm is another gentle herb that complements chamomile well and may have its own benefits for glucose metabolism and sleep quality. However, stick to well-researched herbs and avoid complex blends that might contain unknown ingredients or interactions. Whatever additions you choose, introduce them one at a time so you can assess their individual effects on both your blood sugar and your sleep quality. What works well for one person might not be optimal for another, so personalizing your approach based on your own responses is important. Let's also discuss seasonal considerations for using chamomile tea for blood sugar management. Some people find that their glucose control and sleep patterns vary with the seasons, and you may need to make slight adjustments to your routine throughout the year. During winter months, when daylight hours are shorter and vitamin D levels may be lower, some people find they need to be even more consistent with their chamomile tea routine. The longer nights can disrupt circadian rhythms, making the sleep-supporting effects of chamomile even more valuable. Summer presents different challenges, with longer daylight hours potentially affecting melatonin production and hot weather sometimes making hot tea less appealing. If you find hot chamomile tea uncomfortable in summer heat, you can prepare it normally and then let it cool to room temperature before drinking. The active compounds remain effective even in cooled tea. Some people find that their blood sugar control varies with seasonal changes in activity levels, diet, and stress. For example, the holiday season often brings dietary challenges and increased stress that can affect glucose levels. During these times, maintaining your chamomile tea routine becomes even more important as an anchor of stability in your blood sugar management plan. Spring and fall transitions can also affect sleep patterns and glucose control as your body adjusts to changing light patterns. Being extra attentive to your tea routine during these transition periods can help maintain stability. Now, let me address some specific populations who might benefit particularly from chamomile tea for blood sugar management, as well as those who need special considerations. Postmenopausal women often struggle with sleep disruption and changes in glucose metabolism due to hormonal changes. The gentle, hormone-balancing effects of chamomile can be particularly beneficial for this population. Many of my female patients find that chamomile tea helps not only with blood sugar control but also with some of the sleep disturbances associated with menopause. Older adults, particularly those over 70, may find chamomile tea especially helpful because age-related changes in sleep architecture and glucose metabolism make the supportive effects of chamomile more noticeable. However, older adults are also more likely to be taking multiple medications, so careful attention to potential interactions is crucial. People with high-stress occupations or those dealing with chronic stress may find that chamomile tea provides benefits beyond just glucose control. The stress-reducing effects can help break the cycle of stress-induced glucose elevation, making it easier to achieve stable blood sugar levels. Shift workers or people with irregular schedules face unique challenges in blood sugar management because their natural circadian rhythms are disrupted. While chamomile tea can't completely overcome the metabolic challenges of shift work, it can provide some support for sleep quality and glucose stability during off hours. People with mild cognitive impairment or early dementia may benefit from the routine and ritual of chamomile tea preparation, as well as its potential cognitive supporting effects. However, caregivers should be involved in monitoring the routine and tracking any effects on blood sugar or medications. For individuals with anxiety disorders, chamomile tea can provide dual benefits by reducing anxiety levels, which can contribute to better blood sugar control while also providing direct glucose-lowering effects. However, people taking anti-anxiety medications should consult with their healthcare providers about potential interactions. Athletes or very active individuals may find that chamomile tea helps with recovery and glucose regulation after intense exercise, though they should be mindful of timing to ensure it doesn't interfere with post-workout nutrition needs. People with digestive issues might find chamomile tea beneficial not only for blood sugar management but also for its gentle digestive supporting properties. However, those with severe digestive disorders should consult with their healthcare providers before adding any new substances to their routine. Let me now discuss some advanced strategies for people who want to optimize their use of chamomile tea for blood sugar management. These strategies are for people who have already established a consistent basic routine and want to fine-tune their approach for maximum benefit. One advanced strategy is timing optimization based on your personal circadian rhythm. While the general recommendation is 60 to 90 minutes after dinner, some people find that they respond better to slightly different timing. You can experiment with drinking the tea anywhere from 30 minutes to 2 hours after dinner to find your optimal window. Pay attention to factors like how quickly you typically digest food, when you naturally start feeling sleepy, and how your blood sugar patterns respond to different timing. Keep detailed records during this experimentation phase so you can identify the timing that works best for your individual physiology. Another advanced strategy involves coordinating your chamomile tea routine with other blood sugar management interventions. For example, some people find that taking a gentle walk after dinner, then drinking chamomile tea 30 to 45 minutes later, provides better results than either intervention alone. You might also experiment with coordinating the tea with other natural interventions like meditation, gentle yoga, or specific breathing exercises. The key is to create a synergistic routine where each component enhances the others. Some people benefit from what I call periodization of their chamomile tea routine. This involves occasionally varying the strength, timing, or frequency of the tea to prevent your body from becoming too accustomed to it. For example, you might drink the tea every night for 6 weeks, then every other night for 2 weeks, then return to nightly use. Temperature variation is another strategy some people find helpful. While hot tea is generally preferred for its sleep-inducing effects, some people experiment with room temperature or even lightly chilled chamomile tea during hot summer months or if they find hot beverages disruptive to their sleep. For people who want to maximize the anti-inflammatory benefits of chamomile, coordinating the tea routine with other anti-inflammatory practices like gentle stretching, meditation, or even specific dietary choices can create compound benefits. Some individuals benefit from what might be called microdosing throughout the evening, drinking small amounts of chamomile tea over a longer period rather than consuming one full cup all at once. This approach might provide more sustained effects but requires experimentation to find the right approach for each person. Advanced practitioners might also consider the lunar cycle, seasonal changes, or other natural rhythms when optimizing their routine, though the scientific evidence for these approaches is limited and they should be considered experimental. Now let's discuss how chamomile tea fits into different dietary approaches that people might be using for blood sugar management. Many people combine natural interventions like chamomile tea with specific dietary strategies, and understanding how these work together can help optimize results. For people following a low-carbohydrate or ketogenic diet for blood sugar management, chamomile tea fits perfectly since it contains virtually no carbohydrates and won't interfere with ketosis. In fact, the improved sleep quality from chamomile may help with some of the sleep disturbances that people sometimes experience when first adapting to very low-carb eating. Those following a Mediterranean-style diet, which emphasizes anti-inflammatory foods, will find that chamomile tea complements this approach well by providing additional anti-inflammatory compounds and supporting the stress reduction aspects that make the Mediterranean lifestyle so beneficial for health. People using intermittent fasting for blood sugar management need to consider timing carefully. Chamomile tea contains virtually no calories and shouldn't break a fast, but the timing of your eating window will affect when you can drink the tea for optimal benefits. If your eating window ends early in the day, you might need to drink the tea several hours after your last meal rather than the typical 60 to 90 minutes. For those following plant-based diets, chamomile tea is obviously compatible and may provide additional benefits by contributing to the overall anti-inflammatory effects of plant-based eating. The improved sleep quality from chamomile can also help with the energy levels that some people need to maintain when transitioning to plant-based eating. People using portion control or calorie restriction for weight management and blood sugar control will appreciate that chamomile tea provides benefits without adding any significant calories to their daily intake. The improved sleep quality may also help with hunger hormone regulation, potentially making it easier to stick to eating plans. Those following specific cultural or traditional dietary approaches can usually incorporate chamomile tea easily, as it has been used in traditional medicine systems around the world for centuries. However, it's always worth checking whether chamomile fits with any specific dietary restrictions or recommendations from traditional practitioners you might be working with. Let's also address the economic aspects of using chamomile tea for blood sugar management, as costs can be a concern for people managing chronic health conditions. Compared to many diabetes management strategies, chamomile tea is remarkably affordable and accessible. A month's supply of high-quality chamomile tea typically costs less than a single doctor's visit copay, making it one of the most cost-effective interventions you can add to your diabetes management routine. When you consider that better blood sugar control can potentially reduce the need for more expensive medications or help prevent costly complications, the investment in chamomile tea pays for itself many times over. Buying in bulk can reduce costs further, and chamomile tea has a long shelf life when stored properly. Some people find that growing their own chamomile plants provides the freshest, most potent tea while also being economical and rewarding. The accessibility of chamomile tea is another advantage. Unlike many specialized supplements or medications, chamomile tea is available in virtually every grocery store, pharmacy, and health food store. This makes it easy to maintain your routine even when traveling or if your usual supply runs out. For people on tight budgets, even basic chamomile tea from discount grocery stores can provide benefits, though higher quality organic options may offer better potency and fewer potential contaminants. The simplicity of chamomile tea preparation is also economically advantageous since it doesn't require any special equipment beyond what most people already have in their kitchens. A simple tea strainer or infuser is the only specialized item you might need, and these are inexpensive and last for years. Now, let me share some insights about how healthcare providers view the use of chamomile tea for blood sugar management, as this can help you have more productive conversations with your medical team about incorporating this intervention into your care plan. Most endocrinologists and primary care physicians are familiar with chamomile and generally view it as a safe, low-risk intervention that may provide modest benefits for sleep and stress reduction. However, many may not be aware of the specific research on chamomile's effects on glucose metabolism, so sharing relevant studies with your healthcare provider can be helpful. Physicians generally appreciate patients who take an active, informed role in managing their health, especially when they approach natural interventions responsibly by doing research, monitoring their response carefully, and maintaining open communication about their experiences. The key to getting healthcare provider support for using chamomile tea is to present it as a complementary intervention rather than a replacement for conventional treatment. Emphasize that you want to use it alongside, not instead of, proven medical treatments, and that you're committed to regular monitoring and communication about your results. Be prepared to share information about potential interactions with any medications you're taking, and be open to adjusting or discontinuing the tea if your healthcare provider has concerns. Most providers will be supportive if they see that you're being thoughtful and responsible about the intervention. Keep detailed records of your blood sugar readings, sleep quality, and overall well-being to share with your healthcare provider. Objective data about your response to chamomile tea will help them assess whether it's providing meaningful benefits and whether any adjustments to your conventional treatments might be appropriate. Some healthcare providers may be more enthusiastic about natural interventions than others, but even skeptical providers usually appreciate interventions that are safe, inexpensive, and have some scientific support, especially when patients use them responsibly as part of a comprehensive care plan. Let me address some of the latest research developments in chamomile and blood sugar management, as this is an active area of scientific investigation that continues to reveal new insights about how this simple herb can support glucose control. Recent studies have begun to explore the specific mechanisms by which chamomile affects glucose metabolism at the cellular level. Research published in the journal Molecular Medicine Reports found that chamomile extract can influence the expression of genes involved in glucose transport and insulin signaling, suggesting that its effects go beyond just the general anti-inflammatory and stress-reducing benefits. Another area of emerging research involves chamomile's effects on the gut microbiome and how this relates to glucose control. Studies are showing that regular chamomile consumption can promote the growth of beneficial bacteria that produce short-chain fatty acids, which have direct effects on glucose metabolism and insulin sensitivity. Researchers are also investigating the optimal dosing and preparation methods for chamomile to maximize its glucose-lowering effects. Some studies suggest that certain preparation methods may extract higher concentrations of active compounds, though more research is needed to establish definitive recommendations. There's growing interest in combining chamomile with other natural compounds for enhanced glucose-lowering effects. Early research suggests that combinations with cinnamon, bitter melon, or other traditional diabetes remedies might provide synergistic benefits, though safety and interaction studies are still needed. Researchers are also exploring the potential for chamomile to help prevent the development of type 2 diabetes in people with prediabetes. This preventive application could be particularly valuable given the safety profile of chamomile and its accessibility. The timing and duration of chamomile use for optimal glucose benefits is another active area of research. Some studies are investigating whether certain times of day or specific durations of use might be more beneficial than others. As this research continues to evolve, it's likely that we'll develop more refined recommendations for using chamomile as part of comprehensive diabetes management strategies. However, the current evidence already provides a strong foundation for the recommendations I've shared with you today. Let me conclude by addressing some final considerations and providing a comprehensive summary of everything we've discussed about using chamomile tea for overnight blood sugar support. The journey of managing blood sugar naturally is very personal, and what works dramatically for one person might provide more modest benefits for another. This doesn't mean the intervention isn't worthwhile. It simply means that natural approaches require patience, consistency, and often some individual fine-tuning to achieve optimal results. Chamomile tea represents one of the most accessible, safe, and scientifically supported natural interventions for blood sugar management. Its dual action of directly supporting glucose metabolism while improving sleep quality makes it particularly valuable for people over 50 who often struggle with both blood sugar control and sleep quality. The ritual aspect of preparing and drinking chamomile tea shouldn't be underestimated. In our fast-paced, high-stress world, having a daily practice that forces you to slow down, be mindful, and focus on your health can have benefits that extend far beyond just blood sugar control. This mindful approach to health can influence other decisions throughout the day and contribute to an overall lifestyle that supports better glucose control. Remember that chamomile tea is most effective when used as part of a comprehensive approach to blood sugar management. The tea provides valuable support, but it works synergistically with proper nutrition, regular physical activity, stress management, and appropriate medical care when needed. The timing I've emphasized throughout our discussion is crucial for success. Drinking chamomile tea 60 to 90 minutes after dinner and 30 to 60 minutes before bedtime maximizes both its direct glucose-lowering effects and its sleep-improving benefits. This timing allows the active compounds to begin working as your body naturally transitions into its nighttime metabolic patterns. Quality matters when selecting chamomile tea. Choose organic products from reputable sources and store them properly to maintain potency. The simple preparation method of steeping for 5 to 7 minutes in water just below boiling extracts the optimal amount of beneficial compounds without creating bitterness. Safety considerations are important, particularly for people taking medications or dealing with complex health conditions. While chamomile is generally very safe, potential interactions with anticoagulants and allergic reactions in people sensitive to plants in the Asteraceae family require attention. When in doubt, consult with your healthcare provider before adding chamomile tea to your routine. Consistency is key to seeing benefits from chamomile tea. Unlike pharmaceutical interventions that often provide immediate effects, natural approaches typically require several weeks of consistent use before meaningful benefits become apparent. Don't give up if you don't see dramatic changes in the first few days. Monitoring your response is crucial for both safety and optimization. Keep detailed records of your blood sugar readings, sleep quality, and overall well-being. This data will help you and your healthcare provider assess the effectiveness of the intervention and make any necessary adjustments to your overall diabetes management plan. The expectations you have for chamomile tea should be realistic but optimistic. Most people who respond well to this intervention see gradual improvements in sleep quality within the first week, modest improvements in morning glucose readings within 2 to 3 weeks, and more significant improvements in overall glucose control over 2 to 3 months of consistent use. Individual variation in response is normal and expected. Factors like your current level of insulin resistance, genetic variations in metabolism, other medications, and overall lifestyle all influence how much benefit you're likely to see from chamomile tea. This doesn't diminish the value of trying it. It simply means you may need to adjust your approach based on your personal response. The integration of chamomile tea with other health strategies can amplify its benefits. Combining the tea routine with proper meal timing, gentle evening exercise, stress reduction techniques, and good sleep hygiene creates a comprehensive approach that supports your body's natural glucose management abilities. Remember that natural doesn't always mean harmless, and more isn't necessarily better. One properly prepared cup of chamomile tea per evening is sufficient for most people. Drinking excessive amounts or preparing the tea too strongly can cause digestive upset and may actually interfere with the benefits you're trying to achieve. The cost-effectiveness and accessibility of chamomile tea make it one of the most practical natural interventions for blood sugar management. Unlike expensive supplements or specialized treatments, chamomile tea is affordable, widely available, and can be easily incorporated into almost anyone's routine. Your relationship with your healthcare provider should remain central to your diabetes management, even when incorporating natural interventions like chamomile tea. Open communication, regular monitoring, and willingness to adjust your approach based on professional guidance will help ensure that you're using chamomile tea safely and effectively as part of your overall care plan. The research supporting chamomile's effects on glucose metabolism continues to evolve, and future studies may provide even more specific guidance on optimal use. However, The current evidence, combined with centuries of traditional use and excellent safety profile, provides a solid foundation for incorporating chamomile tea into your blood sugar management strategy. Finally, remember that managing blood sugar naturally is a journey, not a destination. Small, consistent actions like drinking chamomile tea each evening may seem modest, but over time, these practices can contribute to meaningful improvements in your glucose control, sleep quality, and overall well-being. The power of chamomile tea lies not just in its active compounds, but in what it represents: a commitment to supporting your health naturally, mindfully, and consistently. Every evening that you take time to prepare and mindfully drink your chamomile tea, you're making a choice to prioritize your health and work with your body's natural healing abilities. Whether you see dramatic improvements or more modest benefits, you'll be participating in a time-tested tradition of using food as medicine and taking an active role in your health. This empowerment and engagement with your own well-being often leads to other positive health choices and can be just as valuable as the direct physiological effects of the tea itself. As you begin or continue your journey with chamomile tea for blood sugar management, approach it with patience, consistency, and mindful attention to your body's responses. Trust in the process, monitor your progress carefully, and maintain open communication with your healthcare team. With this approach, chamomile tea can become a valuable tool in your comprehensive strategy for maintaining healthy blood sugar levels and improving your overall quality of life. The simple act of ending each day with a warm cup of chamomile tea, prepared mindfully and consumed as part of a peaceful evening routine, represents much more than just a natural intervention for blood sugar control. It represents a commitment to caring for yourself, a daily practice of mindfulness, and a gentle but powerful way to support your body's natural wisdom in managing one of the most important aspects of your metabolic health.